manicured, all of that. So there was a lot of um, interest. They liked the home. A lot of people weren't quite ready to move, and we already, well, the listing agent already has an offer. So that was,
So
I don't know if
looking
we'll,
for backup offers.
they are looking for, well, it hasn't been accepted, so
Oh,
they're
got it.
looking for
Okay.
multiple offers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
multiple offers are a good thing.
absolutely.
Got to use
So
that
I've
leverage.
checked back in, and nobody's quite ready, but hopefully I'll that'll lead to some buyer connections for the future.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. That is great. Who else has some shares, some wins, some
Mhm.
shares? Who else has got some good stuff cooking? Kristen can't be the only one, right? Who else has some good stuff to share today? Happy Monday, by the way. Got a lot of note takers, so I'm not sure how many actual folks are in here. I see Rich Rue. He's out there rocking and rolling all the time. James, how was your weekend? What do you see out there in terms of what's going on with the market?
Uh, Man, it's weird. It really depends on the property right now. I have, I have four listings right now, and two of them flew like super quick, and then I have one in a 55 plus community that's just sitting and sitting and sitting. I mean, I've got a little bit of activity, and then I got a high end kind of luxury property that is getting very little activity. So, and the 55 plus is like 315 grand.
Wow.
And, so super nice price point. But the HOA is high, but you get free golf and all that stuff. So it's worth the HOA price if you're, looking for that sort of thing. And then the high end one, we're at 1.795, and man, it's just not getting a ton of activity at that price point. So working on a price reduction on
Do we
that
have
one.
a small buyer pool in the luxury 1.7 property?
Yeah, I'm actually doing a kind of a price band analysis today to see if we can move down a bracket and kind of get some more eyes on the property. So
And
that's my challenge for the day.
challenge for the day. I love it. That's a good challenge to have. Who else has some stuff they'd like to share about what's going on in the market, what's going on in your business? Because that's really what this I think Joseph likes these calls to be, is kind of the how to do more transactions. I mean, that's really kind of what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to share my expired presentation. We're going to deep dive into it, more of a conversation, not a presentation. And I know that if you're out there working, you're seeing a lot of expireds. Who's currently working with expireds on this call? Anybody? Who's working the lowest hanging fruit on the seller tree? FISBOs and expireds. Who on this call is working that market? Anybody? Anybody going to make a FISBO or expired call today to grow their pipeline? Anybody working FISBOs and expired? I'm just going through the chat box. Rich, I see Rich. Rich, what are you seeing with in terms of FISBOs and expireds as far as what's the response? What's their attitude? What's going on? Do they all? A lot of them think they are still looking for that highest price, so that's why they're
The,
expired.
the list of potentials is growing, that's for sure.
Yes, it is. And this, isn't that what it's kind of all about? Is gathering the list of potentials. Now, I have this conversation with agents all the time. Do we want to go after somebody that wants to list today or next year? Not a hard question. We want the person that's going to list today, but we don't want to forget about the person that's going to list next year or next month or in 10 years. It doesn't matter. We want to nurture our database. We want to nurture the future leads, but we want to work with the FISBOs that have their hands up. They're literally screaming at you, come list me, or at least have a conversation with me. And if if you have the iList cash offers platform, you could literally go into Zillow, pull up the address, copy, paste, put it in the iList cash offers platform. And just FYI, the iList cash offers platform is free, doesn't cost you anything. And it comes with 50 free leads per month. I'll drop that in the chat box if you guys have any questions on that. But the reason why I bring it up is because if you go into Zillow, you go to buy, you click the buy tab, then you go down to for sale by owner, and you literally type in your county and hit enter, and it'll show you all of the available for sale by owners in order of priority in terms of how long they've been on the market. And what a great tool to go in and run a cash offer. Now, just FYI, for full disclosure, those cash offers, I'm going to say a very, very high percentage, 90, 95% of those sellers will never take a cash offer. However, it gets you in the conversation. Same thing with the expireds. Reach out to folks, let them know you can get multiple offers and find out why. Usually, guys, expireds are expireds because of price. If it's too high, it will sit. That's the way it works. The biggest pile of junk home on the whole block, if it's priced right, will sell. So we need to make sure that pricing strategy is something that you're very familiar with. As simple as going into chat and saying, please tell me what this home is worth in today's market, and it'll give you a really good idea of what that home is worth. So today, I'm going to talk about expireds, and I'm going to let a couple of people in here. I got some folks jumping in. We'll get them all squared away. And then I think the biggest thing is that what I wanted to share is the expireds. But does anybody else have anything to share before we get started with? I put together kind of a conversation around expireds, and I'm real bullish on the FSBOs and expireds because those are the guys that are telling me they want to sell their home. I'd rather reach out to them first, but most agents do not reach out to that market because they don't understand how to talk to a FSBO. They don't understand how to talk to an expired. No, I'm afraid of them. They're mean to me. Oh no, they're just like any other seller. Usually there's a reason why they're a FSBO and expired, and it's usually because their ambition is way too high. Their goals are way too high on their sales price and what their home is worth. So they feel like if they want to cut out the listing agent, they can save that much money. But in reality, that's probably the worst thing they can do. So anyone else want to share? I know Lawrence jumped on. I know he's had a pretty powerful last few weeks with grabbing a bunch of listings and getting some traffic. Lawrence, are you available to kind of give us a quick update before we get started today? It's probably still celebrating those.
I'm actually on. I'm on a call with a actual seller right now.
Do it, baby. You're probably celebrating that Dodger victory.
2 seconds. Go Dodgers.
All right. Well, that's cool. Yeah, Lawrence's Dodgers beat up on my Padres this weekend. We got the first game, and the second game we were just embarrassed, and third game was nice. It was good. So congratulations to that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. You probably can see it already, but I'm going to share kind of some things that I want to go over, and stop me at any time. This is more of a conversation than trying to ram something down your throat. But we're going to primarily focus today on expired listings. Expired listings are the most amazing, along with FSBO, the most amazing seller to speak to. And as Rich said, those numbers are escalating. They're increasing. The opportunity is increasing. The opportunity for us as agents is increasing. So as long as we have the confidence, most sellers are not contacted by you, the agent, because the agent doesn't have the confidence. They don't have what if they're mean to me? What if they ask me a question? Well, it's really good. It's really important to have a clear understanding of what that home is worth before we actually have a conversation with them. But it's the lowest hanging fruit on the seller tree, and that's why I like to focus on that. Just for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Robert Weichelt. I'm a realtor, just like you. I'm actively taking listings, working with buyers, working with investors, growing my team of agents all over the country, just like everyone on this call. I've been doing this since 1986. For those of you without a calculator, that's 40 years in the industry. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that because I've seen a few things, and I hope today that I can share with you some of the things that I'm seeing in terms of helping sellers and helping agents grow their business. Because remember, the only thing, at least that I'm looking at, my business attracts 4 things. It attracts sellers, it attracts buyers, it attracts investors, and it attracts agents. The way of doing business, that's what it covers. And I've helped brokers train, agents, brokers, loan officers. I've, trained and mentored them all throughout my whole career. So my goal today is to kind of go into how to get more listings, working with the now business. FSBO, I've mentioned, but expired, today's topic is expireds. And hopefully we get another time to go over some pre-foreclosure opportunities, just so we're clear. I don't want anyone to lose their home. But those numbers, if you look at those numbers, they're increasing quite a bit. Knowing how to run a cash offer gets you in a conversation with that market as well. And then the future businesses, bank-owned foreclosures, and James, Joseph, and myself have a lot of background in that space. So I always like to start off, anytime I do kind of a presentation, I always do this. It's more, it just gets me fired up. I'm a big fan of getting the mindset ready and rocking and rolling. Like when you're going to jump on the phone and prospect, make sure you're at peak energy, make sure you're excited, just can't wait to help people. I always like to play music. My favorite song is Whatever It Takes by the Imagine Dragons. And I crank that super loud. And my wife knows from across the house, I'm getting ready to prospect. But my point is get fired up. You don't want to go prospect. Oh yeah. Hi, this is Robert. I'm calling about your home. Nobody wants to talk to you when you're like that. Get fired up, get excited. I have a prospecting desk where it's over here to my left. It's a prospecting desk where I'm forced to stand up and I just bang it out and I get excited. My energy level is high. So I always like to start with this quote. The only place success comes before work is in the dictionary. That was a quote I was introduced to literally the first day in the business. And another thing, my dad's favorite quote, he always told me, I like to bring that up. It works if you do. So today we're going to talk about the expired listing surge. Guys, there's a lot of expireds. I encourage you to go to your MLS right now and find out how many expireds are in your market in the last 30 days. How many listings expired in the last 30 days in your favorite area? I usually do county. I work counties. I usually work personally. My team and I work Ventura down to the border of Mexico and basically everything in between. I have teams in all those different counties. So I'm always keeping track of how those markets are doing. So we're going to go over some old school strategies. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I've noticed that a very high percentage of us don't master our CRM. And if you're not attending Coach James Cottrell's KV Core Bold Trail, you're missing out huge. You need to use your CRM. You need to be proficient in your CRM. And I'm sure James, if you could drop your class, your mastermind that you do Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific, you could drop that in the chat box, because I'm finding that I do a lot of mentoring agents. And every one of them have a real hard time with their CRM. It's really not that hard, but it takes a little time and dedication to get involved. So master your MLS, of course, master your car forms for those agents in California, but your listing agreements and your buyer broker agreements and your purchase contracts, master those, but master your CRM equal. Get involved in your CRM. So James will put that in the chat. If you're not going to his class, you need to jump on every week. And guys, I'm not using my CRM nearly like I should, just for full disclosure. So jump on James's call. And James, thanks for putting that in. We do have a kind of a mastermind look under the hood kind of session that we do every Friday. It's kind of a end of the week looking back and how do we do and what can we do to do better? What wins can we celebrate? But what did we do that didn't work? We look back and go, oh gosh, you know what? I didn't pick up the phone nearly as much as I thought I should have. I look back and I didn't have as many conversations with sellers, with buyers, with agents, with investors. I didn't have enough conversations. I like to look back at the end of the week so I can go, okay, week, I got you. I see what I didn't do. And this is what I'm going to make in my in-flight adjustments for the week ahead. Most agents, let's use agents, they don't really do their in-flight adjustments until the end of the year, and they're called New Year's resolutions. So if you look at your business on a weekly basis, not WEAK for those keeping score at home, and on an every 7-day basis, look at your business and see what in-flight adjustments you need to make those better. And that's what we go over Friday. There's no real agenda. It is a free-for-all. It's a what's going on, what's working, let's go. A lot of sharing, because sharing is caring. So it all starts, guys, with your first contact. That is the simple question. So some of the questions that I want to ask today, ask yourself this. What is your biggest challenge when calling expireds? I guess first question would be, are you calling expireds? That would be the first question. Second question would be, what's your biggest challenge? Is it putting it on the calendar and not doing it? Is it when you get on there, you get tongue-tied, you don't have the things to say, you don't have the right scripts? What is your biggest problem when working with expired listings? If you're not working with expired listings, I would encourage you to ask yourself, what is my biggest problem speaking to whoever it is I'm looking to work with? buyers, sellers, investors, and agents. I can't think of anyone else I'd like to work with. You're either buying, selling, investing, or you're an agent who wants to grow your business. The other question I have is what expired listing scripts works best for you? If you're not using them, you won't know. But if you're using scripts, what's working best for you? Everybody has their own methodology and how they can work with people. They can call, they can text, they can email, they can send smoke signals. It doesn't matter, but we need to be having conversations with expired listings. How quickly, if you are working with expireds, how quickly do you get in contact with them? Everybody says you call them the second it becomes available within reason. Obviously, if it's available at 6 in the morning, you don't want to be calling sellers at 6 in the morning. But what time do you start? I hear 8 o'clock. I don't do it until 9. I prospect every single morning from 9 to 11, period. That's what I do. And sometimes there's some stuff that I have to do and I'll be prospecting in the background, but that's a distraction. You need to clear your calendar for prospecting. I would recommend, I always say agents, you got to recommend, I recommend at least 90 minutes every day. Sooner the better, because your energy's up, you're fired up, you're ready to go. Not a lot of garbage has entered our inbox and all that other distraction. So prospect first thing. I literally have a calendar where I have my exercise, I have my shower routine, getting prepped for the day, breakfast, and then bam, I hit my phones because my energy is so high. I haven't gone over on my emails yet because emails, if something comes in, it throws your whole day off. Oh my God, this seller wants to do all these different. Get to prospecting first when you're at your highest, most positive level. So I guess what I'd recommend is I'd recommend you do it in the morning. That's just my opinion. That's when I'm fresh and when I'm ready. Everyone's different. I'd like to hear what you guys are doing. What objections are you hearing from expireds? My agent was terrible and they didn't do this, and you're an agent, so you're terrible too. You know, what are they telling you? Oh, I can do it myself. Oh, what are their objections that you hear most often? And you need to understand, we need to figure out that sellers, they're not that creative. They don't have that many objections, right? There's just a couple of them. They don't want to pay a commission. They don't want to work with an agent. They've done this before. They've done all these things. What are the objections you're getting? And let's role play and go through those. So the next time it comes up, you're like, I already know the answer to this one. Boom, here you go. Make sense, Lawrence? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about, right? So what follow-up strategy has produced the best results? If you're not using your CRM and you're not going to James's Tuesday call, you're missing out. You got to put this, because here's what happens. FSBOs and expireds, you call them, you leave a voicemail. You call them in the afternoon, you leave a voicemail. You call them again in the afternoon, you leave a voicemail. And then I text them, and then I send them one more message the next day, and then they're out of there. They're in my CRM and they're getting dripped on. So I've got too many to follow up today. I want to focus on, here we go. But I use 4 touches. I do leave a voicemail. Hi, my name is Robert, calling about your property at 123 Main Street, calling to see if it's available. Will you please call me back? If texting is better, whatever works for you, but get to the point. Is your home still available? Because that answer is either yes or no. There's no other answers. If it's not available, what changed? It was available. What changed? Do you plan on interviewing agents for the job of selling your home in the future? Do you plan on selling again in the near future? Questions like that. You have to ask great questions. But with your follow-up strategy, fortunes in the follow-up, we've heard that about 1 billion times in our career, right? Fortunes in the follow-up. What's your biggest challenge in calling expireds? Are you calling expireds? What expired scripts are you using? What works best for you if you're using them? How quickly do you contact them? What objections are you hearing? And what's your follow-up strategy? Those are important things. Now, here's some opening questions I want to go over. So like I mentioned earlier, I would recommend that you go into your MLS right now. You do it on the call right now and see how many listings are expired in the last 30 days in your market. And go ahead and put it in the chat. Because reality, every expired listing represents a homeowner who A, wanted to sell. They have their hand up. Hello, I'm looking to sell. They didn't, I can't say I've never seen it, but most sellers don't just sell their home for fun and then see what the market's worth. That's a lot of work. I see a lot of FSBOs that are in that category where, hey, I just want to see if my home's what it comes in at. When in reality, they can just go to chat and say, what's my home worth? There you go. Bam. but they want to see what kind of action they can get. Because if they sell their home for $1 million, it's only worth $850, then maybe I'll sell my home. But expireds, I find, the ones that made the commitment, unlike the FSBOs, let's test the market. But expireds just spent 6 months usually under contract, having showings or lack thereof, having offers or lack thereof, but lots of stuff going on. People calling them all the time. Was your home still available? Now it's during the listing period. Their expectations are they want to get traffic to the websites. They want to get traffic to the property. And ultimately, they want to get offers. Is that not happening? They were willing to move. What changed? They didn't achieve their goal usually. Expireds, the reason why expireds do not sell is one very simple reason: price. If it's too high, it's not going to sell. It may eventually sell. That's a terrible strategy. We should sell your home in 14 days or less, or it's not selling. The highest and best probable price comes in the 14-day period. I do 9 days of marketing, no showings. Saturday, Sunday by appointment only, driving tons of traffic. Then we do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, transparent offers. You have 3 days. Because Kristen, she mentioned how, well, they're still kind of figuring out. They're kind of figuring out whatever they want to do. They're not committed. Buyers that are committed have a decision to make within 3 days with the way we sell homes. So they've already showed that they wanted to sell, because like I said, they typically don't just list their home for fun. They don't achieve their goal because most of the time, you get that seller that wants $1 million for their home and it's worth $850. I use that example a lot because I get it a lot. Everyone in San Diego wants at least $1 million, but their home is only worth $850. How are we going to accomplish that? A lot of expireds. They didn't get their goal because the agent, usually, in most cases, the agent was not confident enough to explain to that seller, hey, Mr. Seller, your home is not worth $1 million. When I do all of my listings are done via Zoom. And I do that Zoom meeting with them every single time. The first thing we do is we go right to their Zillow profile, because that's where they all go so we're clear. I'm not promoting Zillow. I'm promoting a familiar website that most sellers use. And we're going through that Zillow profile. I see we're listed at $1 million. It's only worth $850 in my humble opinion, because I do this every day. Tell me how we're going to get to $1 million. And they can't explain it. And a lot of times they just go, well, you know what? That's what we want. If we don't get it, we're not selling. At least we weeded that out. I had a seller just a couple weeks ago. It was $1,099,000. How did you come up with that price for your home? Well, because this has, extra linoleum in the garage, and oh man, we got all these upgrades. It's all, yeah, maybe it is worth a little more, like $1,025,000. He reduced his sales price in like the first 2 seconds of talking to me, because I just asked one simple question. Tell me how you came up with that $1,099,000 price. He explained it and heard himself going, yeah, I guess that doesn't make a lot of sense. Maybe it's worth this. We ended up selling that home for $850. It literally is a number. It's a real number. Actually, full disclosure, it was $849. My point is, I told him exactly what it's going to sell for. It took us a little time to get to that reality part of the world. But if it takes 3 to 5 minutes to come to reality, if it takes a little longer, that's fine. But much longer than that, the seller's not motivated. Now, motivated doesn't mean desperate. It means realistic. I'm realistic about my sales price. Sure, I'm like every other seller, and I guaranteed everyone on this call, if they're selling their home, they'd want the same thing, the highest and best price in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of liability, hassle, and expense. Every single seller. That's what it says in their profile. Under seller, they want the highest and best price. I've had only 2 sellers in my whole career tell me they did not want the highest price. I just had one the other day. Before that, it was like 10 years ago. My point is, very high percentage want the highest and best price. You need to create that. You need to create the solution other than leather agents. Well, I can sell it. What are you going to do? I'm just going to put it in the MLS. I'm going to do an open house. That's not what they're looking for. They want a clear strategy. So expired listings, guys, are often the shortest path to your next listing. FSBOs and expireds. Agents are saying, oh, I don't have enough listings right now. I need to build that. FSBOs and expireds are your quickest way from point A to point B. Get the listing. That's the quickest way. So I want to move on here. Here's another thing why a listing's expired. We covered this a little bit, but the 5 most common reasons. Number 1, you guessed it, overpriced. Poor marketing strategy, I see that all the time. Our marketing strategy is off the hook because we have an amazing pricing strategy. That's the secret sauce. But if you price it high, you're going to get less people to your open house. But if you price it strategically lower, you're going to get maximum buyers to your open house, letting them bump into each other in the kitchen. But it's poor marketing, I hear from sellers. Lack of communication doesn't surprise me at all. I always like, when I'm setting the expectations with my sellers, right on the Zoom call, right when we first meet, what are your expectations? I like to call, text, or email. What do you prefer? I like to give status reports every Friday, unless there's something that's very important that you need to get updated on. Expect an update from me and the team every Friday. We're setting our expectations. And that's real estate 101. But lack of communication is a big reason why these listings expire. Most agents just think, put it in the MLS and they forget about it. That's a terrible strategy. Sure, property conditions. If you take a listing and it's a hoarder house, as an example, you don't want to do the open house and market it when it's in a hoarder house situation. If the seller has absolutely zero money to do anything, there are companies that will come out, do all the necessary work, and bill escrow. And when it closes, they're compensated. But do not take a listing if it's a hoarder house. Get that property at least in broom swept condition. I've seen, I can't tell you how many homes I've seen. It's like, why is this on the market? Now, I'm not trying to preach. I'm just letting you know what some of the problems are, especially if it's tenant occupied. That's a tough one. It's very difficult to tell the tenants, hey, clean up the home. It's always, we try it every time. But sometimes you get that frat house environment, beer cans stacked from the weekend, wetsuits and clothes everywhere, literally a bong on the kitchen table, ready to go. Those are some of the things we need to get out of the home before you show it. My recommendation, get there early Friday and do a walkthrough to make sure your home's prepared. Property conditions matter. And ultimately the weak strategy. Weak, as in terrible. If you're just put it in the MLS and let the IDX feed, let the website do the work, that's not a strategy. I have an open house protocol I'll be more than happy to share with you guys, but it gives me exactly what I do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, leading up to the Saturday and Sunday only showings. I don't let anybody see the home except for on the weekend. I want them all there at the same time. So most sellers don't need a new house. They need a new plan, right? Does that make sense? That's what they need, a new plan. So the expired mindset, why do sellers, why didn't my home sell? They'll ask. Why didn't my home sell? I can tell you exactly why your home didn't sell. Most people are afraid to do that, by the way. They don't want to hurt their feelings. I'll tell you exactly why your home didn't sell. Boom, price. If that's the case, marketing strategy is always a point. Did I hire the wrong agent? Most of the time. That's what expireds basically come down to. Now, a lot of times the sellers are a real nightmare to work with and they don't listen to anything. That's why you don't take a listing that's overpriced, because the only goal for that agent is to continually get a price reduction request to the seller and reduce the price, reduce the price, reduce the price. Terrible strategy. Price it right in the beginning. And then you price it strategically lower than that, and then you market it that way. They lose, sometimes they just think it's a lost cause. They're not going to be able to sell. This was not going to never get down. I see them all the time. They're defeated. That's why we got to be positive. What they need is confidence. You need to have confidence in your platform, confidence in the way you sell homes. You go, let me tell you why your home didn't sell. Boom. And here's how you're going to get it done. Bam. That's all we need to. We need to have the confidence. When you have cash offers already ready to go, that gives you confidence. We need to be clear. We need to help them set their expectations. They need leadership and a proven strategy. This isn't a job to sell yourself. We are problem solvers. Oh, no, I've sold this many homes. I've got this many awards. They don't really care too much about that. What are you going to do for me? We're problem solvers, guys. So here's the old school way to go. And I'm going to kind of talk into some of the new things, because a lot of us, be honest, a lot of us don't really follow our CRM. We don't use all the AI tools. We're all learning. We're all building. We're growing. We're getting there, but we're not doing it yet. So we need to make sure we're not getting ready to get ready to get ready. We need to take action now, as simple as making a phone call. Some people want to go to the home and see it. I don't recommend that, because you can get more done if you reach out to them. Phone call, text, email, AI, social media, like I said, smoke signals, whatever your way to get a hold of people, do it. But the easiest way is to pick up the phone and have a conversation. Door knocking works really well around current listings. You go around the current listings and you'll go around, have a conversation with sellers about the new home that just popped up in the neighborhood. It doesn't have to be your listing. Go to that home, preview that home, and go tell everybody about that home. As soon as it comes on the market, if it's in an area that you really want to have some market share in, anytime a listing comes in your area, pull up that listing, go preview it, and then go tell all the neighbors, 50 neighbors that way, 50 neighbors this way. Have a conversation, because 2 or 3 more signs pop up after that listing. That's always how it works. There's always 2 or 3 more listings in the neighborhood when one hits the neighbors. So you can get some doors knocking. It gets you good exercise too. Handwritten notes. Let's go back to basics. You have a conversation with a for sale by owner, send them a thank you note. Send them a, hey, it was really great talking to you. You have somebody in your database you haven't talked to in a while, send them a thank you note. Send, I was just thinking about you. How are things going? How about those Padres? You beat up on the Dodgers on Friday? Do you know what I'm saying? Have conversations. Face-to-face conversations, belly to belly is always good, but you need to make sure that we all have the same amount of time. We don't want to waste time. We want to go from point A to point B as quickly as possible, but face-to-face, some people are just really good at face-to-face and they don't want to get on the phone. I would say get good on the phone, have a conversation with people. Like my son and I, we're all about texting. We're not phone calls. My wife and daughter, they call each other every single day, like 3 or 4 times a day. But my son and I, hey son, love you, click, how's your day? Boom, that's it. Everybody has their way of doing things. If I called my son and said, hey, let's have a 20-minute conversation, he'd go, oh my God, right? Sellers are the same way. Get consistent with your follow-up. Once you go to the FSBO and they don't call you back and they don't respond and they're still active, drop them in your CRM and drip on them. Don't chase them. Go to the next day's events, right? Consistent follow-up is key. Today's technologies, guys, I mentioned your CRM, using it correctly, but use Zoom when you're doing listing presentations. Use Zoom when you're doing a buyer consultation. Use Zoom when you're meeting a new agent that's thinking about jumping on your team to grow their business. Use Zoom to have a conversation with an investor. At least initially, I do all my listings via Zoom. I would never change a thing. I was a guest on someone's call last week, and they said, well, is there any chance, like, what if they're like in your neighborhood? I said, how's this for an example? If they were across the street, I wouldn't meet them in person, at least initially, because I have a system. Does that make sense? Maybe across the street might be a little bit exaggerating, but you get my point. So use your CRM and use the technology in front of you and create more relationships. Guys, here's a minimum standards. This has been around since I first got in the business. The 555 expired listing formula. Make 5 calls a day. How do you eat an elephant? Does anyone know? I can tell you, 1 bite at a time. Expired's that elephant. Make 5 calls right now. Go there, not this second. Wait till we're done with the call. But as soon as you pull up an expired, reach out to them. Oh, but Robert, I don't know how to get a hold of them because their phone number is not in the MLS. I'll put a link in the chat box and you can get a 14-day free trial for My Plus Leads. That's who I use. FSBOs, expireds, pre-foreclosures. Now you can get any seller you want, but that's who I primarily focus on first. What happens is so many people say, give me all the leads, I'm going to call them all. And they get overwhelmed and call none of them. So make it every morning minimum, 5 calls, 5 text messages, and 5 personal notes. Let's go old school. Okay, do this 30 days. Track and measure how your success. If you don't get a listing in that next 30 days, I would be absolutely blown away. More conversations, guys, more appointments equals more listings, no doubt. Now, here's the winning expired listing script. I use it mostly. This is kind of my idea of what I intend to say. And you got to have some kind of idea of what you want to say so you can keep you on track. Scripts are to keep you on track and also keep it short and sweet. When you're prospecting expireds, your goal is not to get the listing appointment and continue the conversation into a listing appointment. It's to get the appointment. Your job is an appointment setter when you're prospecting. My job is to get 3 listings every time I take a three listing appointments every time I do a prospecting session. I want to know a simple question. My name is Robert with EXP. I noticed that your home currently came off the market, and I wanted to reach out to you personally. They're getting blown up by other agents. Their phone is ringing off the hook, and usually everyone that I can remember is always, what do you need? You know, they're like flipping out because everyone's bugging them. Well, I put in my scripts. I can make that go away real quick. Let me show you how. Boom. I'm going to show them how to get that listing, right? But my point is, I'm just curious, if you received a price, you know, that you wanted, if you're looking for your price and checked all the boxes, would you be still interested in making a move? If they've decided not to sell anymore, then okay, I get that. What changed? I would say you were thinking of selling, you went through a 6-month listing agreement, and now you decided it was just too much. What changed? Because so many times that at the end of that 6 months, they're at their end of their rope. We want to talk them off the ledge, have a genuine conversation. If they're still looking for an offer that makes sense to them, let's talk about that. When's the best time for us to meet on a quick Zoom call so we can go over your property in more detail? Pull up your cash offers. Know that those aren't going to go. The sellers are going to hate them, but it's okay. We got cash offers. And then we transition them to a better way. If they still want to sell, let's do it the right way this time. Oh, I was thinking about using the same agent. That's the little like definition of insanity, I would think, but I'm not going to argue with the seller, but I'm going to show them a better way. That's my job, is to show them a better way. Ask better questions. Best listing agents ask questions. The average agent just gives a presentation and doesn't go with the flow. They stick to the script because they don't understand the whole process. Now, the listing appointment, don't attack the previous agent. That's hard to, oh yeah, they're terrible strategy. Their strategy was terrible. No, let me show you a better way of doing it. You know, I always like to ask expireds. FSBOs, not so much, but these are expireds. What do you like about the process of selling your home? Probably very little, meaning because they still haven't sold. What frustrated you the most? I'm listening. Noted, not to do that. Got it. If you could change one thing, what would it be? Communication, more open house traffic, more offers, yada, whatever it is. What's your communication experience like? Because they may have just fired that agent because they didn't get communication. Find out what their number one concerns are and be a problem solver to those concerns. Now, the expired listing audit, here's the key. Before you bring value, you got to bring value before you get that listing. But you already have to have value. You know, you need to have a pricing strategy that works, guys. Pricing it at market is not the best strategy. I'm not saying go ridiculously low, but be strategic about your strategy. Photos. Let me tell you what I do for photos. Everyone thinks, oh, you need 500 photos. You do not. You need 5, in my opinion. A front, really nice front shot, a really nice backyard shot, and 3 awesome photos, kitchen, maybe a nicely upgraded ensuite, and a game room or a living room that looks great. And that's it. Because I want people to come to my open houses. So I explain, you know, photos aren't the everything, because a lot of sellers, guys, they want that photo shoot, that whole photo experience thing. That's in my opinion, that's not the best way. Online marketing, show them the results that you've done in the past. If you don't have results, let me send you some. Showing activity. Sellers are like anyone else. They want to see the likes. They want to see the shares on their social media. They want to see that their Zillow has X amount of views and X amount of saves. They want to see that stuff. So we need to see showing activity. What's going to get you the most showing activity? And the biggest thing, buyer feedback. You know, what are the buyers saying about your home? You may have your opinion, but what are the buyers saying? Right? What are the buyers saying? I can tell you this, that helps with a lot. The buyer feedback. Most agents don't get it. They just say, okay, thanks for coming. Let me know if you have any questions. No, give me feedback. Demand it. Okay. Follow up. This is the biggest thing you're going to put in your CRM. You don't want to just call them, not get a hold of them, and forget them. I call them 4 times, text them, and then I do follow up an email after the time I'm done. I want to get all bases covered. I've met many sellers that they only have a landline. I can't believe it. It blows my mind. They have a cell phone, but they don't give it out to people. You know what I mean? So you want to follow up schedules day 1, day 3, day 7, day 14, 21, 30. You're seeing a trend, and then just do a monthly after. If they either list or they unsubscribe, but you're going to just drip them. Okay. Fortunes in the follow up, guys. Make sure you're getting your CRM dialed in. And thanks to you, James, for all you do there. Here's the biggest thing with sellers. There's a market shift going on. Lawrence is the perfect example. Perfect example. Lawrence, do me a favor. Do you have a second?
Yes, sir.
Tell us,
Yep.
tell us what happened with your seller is a perfect example of the market shifting.
So the property that we had in Compton, when we took on the listing, it was worth almost close to 800,000. And we had the 50% of the market value, concept and strategy ready to go. Signed the listing agreement, got everything ready to go. Excuse me, not listing agreement, marketing listing agreement.
Yeah.
Got everything ready to go. Put it on the market. When I went back to look at the market, it had dropped exactly where we were at as far as the 50% of the market value. So that value now is even less. So trying to go back to a seller and telling them, hey, sorry, it's been a market shift after you already have a listing agreement signed, it's going to be a hell of a conversation, right?
The reason why I brought that up is because there's sellers. Kristen brought this up earlier. They're waiting the buyers are waiting, sellers are waiting. They're going to get this all the time. We're waiting till a better time, or we're waiting till whatever. Just because the conversation was here, don't forget to check your data and update your data before you move forward, especially if there's been some time. I can tell you, I get a FISBO. I'll meet like 2-3 weeks ago, and they want to, go fail a couple times on their own, and they're finally go, fine, I'm ready. I do a new Zoom call and new market update because that time has passed. You'd want to do that regardless, because whether the market's going up or down, things change. We need to make sure we're updated. So, Lawrence, thanks for sharing that, my brother. As inventory grows, guys, their homes are going to take longer. Days on market are going to be longer. Check your MLS. Go in there and see what your average days on market is. You're seeing that increase. So more listings expired because sellers are not getting the memo. Realistically, this happens every time. I've seen this multiple times as the market starts to shift away from a seller market and more into a balanced, more buyer market. And that's what we're seeing. But the sellers are still thinking, oh, yeah, this is great, man. We're keep going up. It's never going to stop. Wrong. It's starting to correct. And we need to have a real conversation, hard facts to show them. I think it's great you think your home's worth $1 million. Let me show what it's worth based on my market data. And if they can't see it, well, guess what? They're going to go being expired for a little longer until they realize, just by chance, they get that buyer that's willing to pay way too much, or they sit on the market quite a bit and they do multiple price reductions, and that hurts the property. More and more sellers are starting to become motivated. They're starting to be realistic. But it's taking time. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm seeing less and less buyers fighting my suggested price, but it's taking time. So that at the end of the day, expired listings are a great way to go. So here's your action plan. I would say before tomorrow morning, you need to pull up all your recent expireds. Pull up the last 30 days in your market. What's the expireds? What areas are you seeing a trend? What's happening? How much are they expiring? What's it worth? What was it listed at? You can do some market research. Share that with your database. Identify the top 20 prospects and start tackling them. I'd call every one of them. Make a phone call to every single one. Pull a cash offer, call every single one of them, and have a conversation. Don't even go in there with a listing attitude. Just go in there with, I'm an agent. I want to know more about the market. I want to know more about my inventory. And as you become proficient in prospecting, yes, you want the listing, but you need to track them down first. Is their home available? Are they compensating for an offer that was acceptable? And when can we jump on a quick Zoom call to discuss your property in more detail? Boom, 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 appointment. Then you go into the listing presentation, and you got to follow up relentlessly. Don't just phone them every now and then. You have to have them dripping. You have to drip on them. So here in closing, I want to kind of go over some calls to action for folks. The 30-day expired listing challenge for the next 30 days. And see who it is. And maybe what we can do is we can circle back with Joseph and say, hey, this is what I did in the 30 days. Make those 5 calls, make those 5 text messages, and write those 5 notes. Do it every day for 30 days. Now, I don't work Sundays. I take my 80-year-old mother to church and we go to lunch, and that's our day. So just full disclosure, I work 5.5 days. Saturdays, I work half day. Sometimes I don't work at all, which is fine. Sometimes I take Friday off too. But anyway, my point is, write it down and do it. Don't wish for a listing. Go out and get a listing. One listing, I guarantee it, could change your whole projection of your year. I'm telling you, if it's just the lowest hanging fruit, it's the easiest conversation in the world to have once you get the confidence to have it. FSBOs, expireds, pre-foreclosures are the lowest hanging fruit on the seller tree, period. So with that said, I would love to sit down with anyone, whoever wants to reach out to me. I'd sit down with you and show you exactly what I'm doing. I'm doing this every day, just like you, or like you want to, right? We all want to do it every single day. Reach out to me, book a 30-minute strategy session. I don't offer this to many people. I stopped doing this because I was a guest on a call, and there was like 100 and however many people there. And I said, yeah, just reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to sit down with you. I had like 35 appointments. It was brutal. So I only do this for specific groups like Joe Limo here. And I just want to make sure that you guys, if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to help.
Hey, Robert, I just want to make sure I once again thank you for helping me out with my last couple of listings on these 14-day listing platform. Like you've been a
Absolutely.
huge, like we've done it before, but just getting back into the groove of doing it and learning new things that's happening with this market right now is different than when we did it before. You've been helpful, very helpful in that. And I appreciate it, man. All the guidance. I got a couple hiccups along the way, but I'm
That's good.
learning how to perfect that and change it. But thank you for your help on this, man.
You know what, Lawrence, I tell you, you just gotta do it. You got to reach out to those folks, and you know the system, you know how it works, and I'm
Yeah,
here to help. Well, you know that you've had some questions, and I'm happy to help. Absolutely
yeah.
happy to help. So if you have a seller that wants the highest and best price, I'd be more than happy to help anyone on this call. So it's been my pleasure. Yeah, absolutely. Questions, concerns, comments, expireds, anything related to what we talked about today that I can help anybody with today.
I forgot what source do you use to get phone numbers for those
I'm going to
folks?
put it in the chat box right now. I'm
Thanks.
going to put in the chat box. I'm going to put when we meet on Fridays. Some of you attend those calls, and they've really taken a life of their own. It's been super, super fantastic. James, thank you for putting in your Tuesdays, 11 a.m. Pacific, KV with JC. Do not miss his class. It is absolutely mandatory. I'm going to put in the chat of our call. I'm going to put in the chat some training videos. If you want to check those out, you're free to check them out, do whatever. It's my YouTube channel. I also added my Spotify podcast. You can totally listen to that. Kristen, your question about who do I call? I'm going to put that in the chat box. I use My Plus Leads for FSBO, expired, and pre-foreclosure, but they have many more sellers like landlords and all kinds of stuff, but that's just what I use it for. So there's a 14-day free trial. The only thing I would caution you, if you sign up for a 14-day free trial and don't use it, it does expire, and then you can't get it again. So don't pull the 14-day free trial until you're actually ready to start getting to work. Because I see people sign up for it and go, oh my God, now they're going to charge my card, because you have to put in your card to get the subscription. So just, just trying to let you know, don't try not to do that. And then I'm going to, and I think that's basically it. That's what I had for you guys. Any other questions? No? All right.
Nope. Hey, Robert, I want to make sure I bring this up too, because probably
Yeah.
not a lot of people paid attention to Leo Pareja with EXP announced, I think about a week ago or a week and a half ago, that we've partnered with .com. So if you
Yeah.
guys haven't registered for that, you guys are working with buyers on a fence,
Mhm.
I talked to you guys, I talked to most of us about this before, where we had with Rome.com. This company charges way less than Rome as far as fees. Has a outreach for anybody to assume loans from 2.5 to 3%, 4% interest rates right now, which is great for anybody right now. So sign up for that. It's only with EXP right now, so we have another tool underneath our belt right there.
And I think if you know anything about assumptions, they're a great way to get folks into homes. It's another way. That's the market we're heading to, guys. Because remember, the seller wants $1 million, and it's now worth 850. But if the seller assumes the financing, they've got a little bit of leverage to bring that maybe up to 950. May bring that up using an assumability mechanism allows the seller to remain the leverage, remain in control. So therefore charging a little bit more of a premium when somebody assumes the loan. So knowing about assumptions and how they work is really huge. Rich, did you have a question?
I was just going to say, I listened to that class that Lawrence was talking about on assumelist.com, EXP.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're not using that and you're looking to find potential business, that was a really impressive class.
Yeah, Rich, thanks for
Yeah,
sharing.
EXP is a great company to be with.
yeah,
They're doing
they have
so
a
much good stuff for us.
yeah. I think the next training is on the 13th. I think the next oh no, it's next week actually. It's next week. You can join it from that link. Use your EXP email address, and you'll be able to get in there. But more than anything, besides that, Robert, thank you for this. But every Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we're on there with Robert going over what's working, what's not working, what we
Yeah.
need to execute.
Yeah, I put it in the chat box. I think, yeah, I did. I put it in the chat box every Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. You just go to moredealsmastermind.com. There's no registration. No, you can come and listen. You can come and participate, whatever. It is fantastic. And it's just a kind of a look back at the week that was so we can make sure we do our in-flight adjustments and head in the right direction for the following week. And one last thing I also wanted to mention, Saturdays, I have found the best days for following up with FSBOs and expireds. But during the week is great too. Sunday, I don't work Sundays, but when I was working Sundays, I didn't have a lot of, it's almost like the sellers turned their brain off, so I wasn't getting a lot of people. So I trapped it. And yeah, so I think Saturdays.
What time, Robert? Morning, afternoon?
I have the best bet is 9 to 12. That range right there, because that people they're having their coffee, their breakfast, they're doing all their stuff, their Saturday morning things, and then they like to bounce and go do life 12
Right.
on. That's what I found. When I called later in
spot.
the day, my energy was down and my contacts weren't as high. So I found that the morning hours have always been the best for prospecting.
Perfect.
Any other questions, guys? All right. Well, it was my pleasure to fill in today, and it's really an honor to get a chance. And most of you guys, I mean, I jump on these calls as an agent, so I'm just like you. I just he asked me to jump on. I said I would. I love doing this stuff. So hopefully that was a little bit of value. My goal is to always contribute. I want to contribute where I can, and just happy to be of any assistance. So with that said, we'll let everybody kind of get back to their day. Remember, make those calls, follow up with FSBOs. Go to your Zillow right now and pull up every FSBO in your market. Go pull a cash offer. I left the cash offer link in here. It literally is free to pull a cash offer. You can go, it says cash offer access, register 14-day home offers. You register, they will ask you for a credit card, but that's only if you want to subscribe. This is a 14-day free, and it's actually cash offers, and the 50 leads a month are free forever, at least right now, until they start charging me. They don't charge me, so I don't charge you. Now, some people charge, but I've decided, I got with Lawrence and Joe, and so we're not charging for that. We want to give you the cash offers, and we want to give you the 50 first free leads. So check that out. The 14 days is for the My Plus leads. That's the 14-day trial period. So again, don't start that until you feel like you're going to start prospecting, because so many people I've talked to, oh, I didn't get around to it. I signed up and didn't get around to it. Now it's expired. So
Yeah.
yeah, cool. What else? Anything else?
That's it. We're right,
Good, man. I appreciate you guys. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Monday as just learning, building, growing.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks, Joe Limo, for having me on. You guys have a great day. We'll talk again.